Royal shake-up. The royal family has just delivered a stunning update that's capturing global attention. In a completely unexpected twist, they've unveiled surprising news about Queen Camilla, and it's nothing like what people were anticipating. Stick with us as we explore this major development and what it could mean for the monarchy's future. Seated in the Poets' Corner, surrounded by memorials to literary giants, few could have predicted that this moment would mark such a pivotal turning point. At Kensington Palace, the royal setting bathed in a soft summer breeze seemed to promise just another routine charity event. Reporters and guests anticipated the usual highlights: Princess Charlotte's radiant smile, Prince George's charming wave, and the stunning photographs destined to dominate the next day's headlines. But what unfolded before the cameras was anything but ordinary. Prince William, tall, poised, and unmistakably resolute, stepped forward not with a standard address, but with a determined fire in his eyes. At his side, Princess Catherine stood calm and graceful, her hand resting gently on Charlotte's back in quiet support. Prince George held his place close by, his gaze carrying a maturity well beyond his years. Then, in a moment that would ripple across Britain and beyond, Prince William delivered a declaration that would redefine the royal family's future. "We are stepping into a new chapter," William announced, his voice charged with emotion, one that honors the past while building the future with purpose and confidence. He spoke of Queen Elizabeth II, her enduring vision, her legacy, and her hopes for the monarchy. Tears shimmered in his eyes, revealing just how deeply he felt these words. But it was what he said next that truly took the audience by surprise. "My family will take on a greater role in shaping what lies ahead, just as Her Majesty envisioned. My daughter, Princess Charlotte, will begin her official duties as a representative of the crown." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Journalists scrambled to lift their phones, palace officials appeared visibly stunned. This was not just an announcement. It was a defining moment in royal history. Though far too young to be called queen, Princess Charlotte stepped forward with a serene confidence that left many in awe. Behind her, the steady presence of her parents spoke volumes, not merely as today's leaders, but as a family clearly prepared to pass the torch when the time comes. There was no word from King Charles III. No appearance by Queen Camilla. Only silence. And that silence echoed louder than any speech. In that instant, it became unmistakably clear to the entire world: a profound shift had taken place within the power dynamics of the royal family. Behind the scenes, whispers that the old guard was losing its grip had quietly circulated for months, perhaps even years. Subtle shifts in royal protocol and an evolving public sentiment were painting a clearer picture. The monarchy was no longer defined solely by reverence for Queen Elizabeth II's timeless grace and mystique. New voices were rising to shape its future. Though King Charles had only recently ascended the throne, the atmosphere around him seemed to grow heavy with age the moment the crown touched his head. By contrast, William and Catherine were rising swiftly, winning hearts not just through charm, but with undeniable public support. Polls consistently ranked them as the most trusted and admired members of the royal family. Their appearances didn't just draw enthusiastic crowds, they captured the world's attention. With every engagement, William and Catherine didn't simply assure the public they were ready, they embodied it. They brought a fresh, modern energy to the monarchy, remained firmly dedicated to their royal responsibilities, and quietly started shedding outdated traditions. Yet behind palace walls, something even more intriguing was unfolding. Insider whispers from royal advisors began to surface. These were vague enough to be denied but detailed enough to spark curiosity. Reports emerged that William had been quietly engaging in confidential talks with senior Commonwealth officials. Unconfirmed sources suggested that Catherine had stepped into informal advisory roles typically reserved for more senior royals. There were even hints that Princess Charlotte had begun attending media preparation meetings at a remarkably young age, well before Prince George had reached the same stage. While some dismissed these claims as fanciful, palace insiders were watching closely. Especially Camilla, who remained determined to safeguard her standing within the royal family. Meanwhile, rumors continued to swirl about the final letters Queen Elizabeth II had reportedly written before her passing. It was said she penned private notes to King Charles, to Prince William, and even to Catherine. Though the contents remain a mystery, one thing is undeniable: After the Queen's passing, William and Catherine began to act with sharper decisiveness and strategy, far more than Charles and Camilla. On one notable occasion, William even faced criticism for skipping an important meeting hosted by King Charles, choosing instead to visit a children's cancer unit in Manchester. Remarkably, William's visit drew more media attention than the King's event in London that day. Many saw this as a quiet, deliberate act, not outright rebellion, but a clear assertion of where true public interest now lay. These moments only heightened tensions around the line of succession. Though Prince George remains next in line after William, Princess Charlotte's increasing public presence is steadily reshaping the royal landscape. Charlotte's natural poise and growing leadership qualities have earned widespread praise, drawing inevitable comparisons to her late grandmother, Princess Diana. Some even speculated whether the line of succession could one day adapt to give Charlotte a larger role than once imagined. Still, these remained just whispers, media speculation without any official confirmation. But with William's major announcement, delivered by him rather than by King Charles, everything changed. It sent an unmistakable message: the future of the monarchy was here, embodied by a younger generation stepping forward. While the king technically remains the head of state, he seemed to be retreating into the background. As William and Catherine confidently moved to the forefront, the king's absence from such a pivotal moment sparked public concern about his health and capacity to fulfill his role. In the weeks leading up to this historic shift, palace insiders revealed that King Charles grew increasingly withdrawn, cancelling public engagements and citing exhaustion. Behind closed doors, a quiet crisis was taking shape as the monarchy's plans and strategies were subtly but decisively being realigned. Known for his meticulous nature and rigid scheduling, Charles now showed signs of strain as his official duties diminished. At first, royal aides dismissed any concerns, with one senior official claiming the king simply needed rest after a taxing first year on the throne. But insiders sensed a deeper truth: Charles was struggling not just with health, but with frustration and a dawning sense of inadequacy in his role. Despite having waited decades to reign, he found himself overshadowed by William and Catherine wherever they went, embraced with warmth and admiration that sharply contrasted his often distant, formal receptions, especially when accompanied by Camilla, whose presence still stirred controversy. These tensions mounted as the king reportedly clashed with advisors on how to handle William's rising star. Rumors spread that Charles tried to reclaim prominence through plans for a major Commonwealth tour or a high-profile international summit, but every initiative stumbled over political or logistical obstacles. Soon, whispers emerged that Charles was contemplating a sort of soft abdication, not a formal resignation, but a gradual transfer of responsibilities to William under the banner of modernizing the monarchy. According to some palace insiders, this transition had quietly begun even during Queen Elizabeth's final months, when she advised Charles to see himself as a bridge to William's eventual reign. Yet Camilla would have none of it. After spending years weathering scandals and intense scrutiny to finally become queen, she was unwilling to watch power slip away to William and Catherine. Their growing public prominence felt like a direct challenge to her and Charles's legacy, something she could not accept. Nevertheless, the tide could not be held back. Charles, worn down and increasingly passive, withdrew from the spotlight. That vacuum was immediately filled by William's assured voice. The royal family, once defined by unity, now revealed unmistakable fractures. It was in this charged atmosphere that the moment at Kensington Palace arrived. As soft afternoon light bathed the gardens, the world expected a polite speech from William, a graceful nod from Catherine, maybe a sweet wave from Charlotte or George. Instead, William took the podium with calm authority, praising Queen Elizabeth II's unshakable dedication and wise silence that had carried the country through every storm. Then, without hesitation, he declared, "Our voice will ignite a new beginning. Not by abandoning tradition, but by evolving it. The crown isn't a relic. It's a living promise of service, and that promise belongs to the future." Then came the truly unexpected moment. William turned to Princess Charlotte, poised, dignified beyond her years, and gently guided her forward. "Princess Charlotte," he announced, "will take on her first official duties in the coming months. She will attend engagements alongside her mother, learning the true meaning of service and ultimately helping to shape a new vision for our family and country." The public's reaction was electric. Social media exploded with admiration as Charlotte's modest smile captured countless hearts, her composure instantly compared to a young Diana or even Elizabeth. But this was more than just about Charlotte. It was William's vision to elevate his daughter's role, openly challenging the old male-dominated hierarchy. Where previous generations might have kept her in the background, William brought her to the very front. And Catherine, embodying calm and unity, rested a gentle hand on George's shoulder, a silent signal that their family was stepping forward together. Behind palace walls, however, turmoil erupted. Camilla reportedly exploded with anger, seeing Charlotte's elevation as a direct threat to her own standing. "She's just a child. This is madness," she is said to have shouted. For decades, Camilla had fought to reshape her image, emerging from scandal to finally become queen. But now, with one speech, William and Catherine had rewritten the narrative, and it didn't include her at the center. She demanded urgent meetings with advisors, even pressing Charles to issue a statement to reassert the royal hierarchy. But Charles, weary and resigned, simply murmured, "Let it unfold. It's already begun." Isolated and fuming, Camilla reportedly roamed palace halls late at night, slamming doors and issuing demands that were ignored. Even Anne, known for her stern sense of duty and loyalty to tradition, reportedly retreated to her country home, choosing distance over confrontation. Meanwhile, palace staff began shifting their loyalty to William and Catherine. Foreign diplomats reached out to Kensington Palace instead of Clarence House. Media outlets across the world started describing William's family as the modern monarchy. Camilla's influence was clearly waning. And through it all, Catherine's quiet power shone brightest. Often overlooked in favor of flashier personalities, Catherine had spent years mastering the palace's complexities, carefully laying groundwork for this very moment. Unlike Camilla, she didn't need to demand loyalty, she earned it. Every visit to a children's hospice, every unscripted giggle with a nervous schoolchild, every loving interaction with her own family resonated with genuine warmth. This authenticity became her greatest strength. While Camilla raged, Catherine calmly strategized with William each evening, reviewing public sentiment and planning next moves. Insiders even claimed Catherine had commissioned private polls months before to gauge how the public would receive Charlotte stepping up, and the response was overwhelmingly supportive. This was never about personal ambition. It was about building a monarchy their children could proudly shape, not just inherit. When the dust settled, the truth was undeniable. The monarchy's future was no longer a matter of speculation. William, Catherine, Charlotte, and George had stepped forward to claim it. Charlotte's new duties signaled she was not merely the spare, but a pillar in the next chapter of the crown. George, composed and observant, showed the makings of a king shaped by humility, not ego. Standing behind it all were William and Catherine, quiet architects of a new royal age. Their message was clear: the monarchy's strength no longer lies only in ancient thrones or bloodlines, but in public trust, heartfelt connection, and integrity. The old guard may still hold titles, but true influence had shifted. A generational handover had occurred not just in Britain, but in hearts worldwide. The crown hadn't simply survived. It had been reborn.